Hey guys, what is up? It is Sarah Tennant here today with yet another amazing deck profile. Today I'm going to be hitting you guys with Vivid Strike, and just kind of, it's not exactly a finalized list. Like, I don't think this is the most optimal way to play the deck or anything, but I think that the shell and like what I'm going for is pretty much the only way to play the deck in the modern era, and I'll go over that in a bit. So first is our level 0 lineup. By the way, this is going to be Gate Bar. So this isn't the 8-bar list that a lot of people... I don't know if people still play Vivid Strike. That's the problem. And but I wanted to revisit it because it was like an old set that I have. So I'm playing 4 mill runners. They're not mill runners. They're free runners, but they mill 2 on play. Which is very nice because the set doesn't have a ton of free mill. And then if you mill a climax, you get to mill a top card of your opponent's deck and put a card on top. That effect is pretty much useless. It's just free, nice mill 2, and then it moves and gets to plus you. I'm playing 3 clean cuts. Why 3? Because you have Ricky and clean cut. Clean cut's better going first, or going second. And the Ricky's better going first. And then usually Ricky for this if you need it. And it's kind of dead in the late game. Like the later the game goes on, it becomes harder and harder to get reverses, so it's harder to save things. But all in all, it's a solid card. It's just like you'd rather use the slots on other things. 3 Rickies because I own 3. It's a 2/5 on the turn it's played. I think you could bump this up to 4. I think it's also fine as a 3 of. Like, you don't usually need it more than that. The thing that you're kind of like cutting into slots you'd rather use on other things then. 3 tap self-salvage brainstorms because we're not playing 8 bars. The bar brainstorm is not there. You know, it's like, why would you play it? Also, if you use an act, you have something 500 that includes the brainstorm, that includes backups. This is kind of a defensive build because it plays a lot of the red cards, and red Vivid Strike I think is still a pretty decent costless walls. Only playing 2 of this because we're not exactly playing a ton of Fukas with markers, so you don't need to play more. And then it's also tapped to give something 1500. That kind of helps you because the only advantage engine in Vivid Strike, at least that I think that there is, like, great, I think it's the only one, is the Shimakaze on reverse search. Not exactly the best profile in the day, and it's only a 7k before, unless you use like something like this or this. Just helps you out. And then it can also save. You do play a couple. I do play like 2 of the 1/1. This can save the 1/1, and then after the 1/1 gets just this extra little bit of power. It's probably beefy enough to kill almost anything. Because after just one of these, I mean, that's like, it'd probably be 7/5, and then go to 9k, and then you kill something else, then it's like a 10/5, and then you have backups. So, like, the 1/1 can quickly just, like, overwhelm people. I'm only playing 2 of this. This probably needs to be bumped up if you're actually playing the list. I feel like there's not enough discard outlets. It's just come and play, top check, add, ditch. And then it's also got ditch to, when it hits grave, to summon a 1/0. We're not playing because I don't like the 1/0. I think it's the fact that it can't front attack cards that are higher level than it, especially with the way the meta's kind of changed. You know, people at level 2 will either vomit strong level 2s on the board or like just drop a full board of level 3s, and then you actually can't front attack their board in the late game because you've got this like 6/5. Just seems really low value, right? That's it for level 0. It's a pretty thick level 0 line. Level 1, of course, you're playing 4 of the Shimakaze with the gold bar. Not really much to say. It's really your only advantage engine. It's not the best combo, but it's not a bad combo. As long as you can get the reverses. This was like something that I was just testing out. I think you can drop this, but it's red. So the red's kind of important. But it's if you use an act, it goes up to 7k, and then if it gets reversed, your opponent puts a character on top of your deck. What is cool is I think the character that they put on top of your deck is mandatory, right? So I think if you crash this, I could be wrong about that, but if this is mandatory, you can just like crash this into cards and then get free free triggers, even if you're compressed in the late game. That's a pretty cool use case. But like if they run this over, it feels really bad, right? I'd have to look into that. I think this might be mandatory. Just crash it and get free triggers, easy. This is the marker Fuka. Every marker has a 1500 power and a level, 6k, 7/5 after a single reverse. We play a lot of counters to go with this and this, so you know, kind of just put a bunch of stuff under there. You get to see what it is. So like if you put like 2 climaxes under there, you probably play over this thing and just call it quits. I'm playing 2 1/0 2K counters. It goes nice with this. It goes nice with the entire wall-based cards. Helps you win field. So this level 2 lineup, I know people are going to be a little like, it's like kind of weird, but I just want to say, like, I think modern decks are just really efficient at early playing. Like if they decide to go the early play route, and Vivid Strike as a set, I mean, like you have the Shimakaze into like garbage, right? Like you have you don't really have a lot of like super strong early plays that have as much board presence as these other decks do. And then they're definitely not as efficient, right? Because if you're playing the Fuka, it's like 4 more characters, so you'd have to like play a Fuka down and then play over a card to get a second Fuka on board. You just have to do a lot to have a lot of board presence. And then like if they answer the Fuka, it feels bad because the card did nothing on the board, while they're probably putting down cards that either heal them or like summon another card for less. Like that's, or like negging your soul. So the level 2 lineup that I've chosen is kind of got a lot of more cards than normal against early plays. So this is zone removal. I think this goes to clock or stock or something. I don't remember. Regardless, it removes level 3s when your opponent's level 2. This is a level assist that has tap to give a card 500. It activates an act, which gives your Brainstorm, lets you pump 500 extra power somewhere. It also like lets this get bigger. And it lets your level 3 get bigger. And it has a ditch bond to your level 3. This is your level 3, by the way. So, I play as a 1 of. It's pretty good. You might want to bump it up to a 2 of. This is a pay 2 burn 1 counter. 2/5 counter, so it goes with your walls. And then it also just kind of goes with your top end by like burning on your opponent's turn. Now, this is where things get a little spicy. I'm playing 2 of the sack counter, the bottom decks. There's just too much garbage, right? There's like Goblin Slayer running around. There's Orisa Walls running around. Some people still play Sunshine. I know Yo's at 1, but like Yo's pretty spooky if you don't answer, right? And then there's like GGO summoning multiple cards. Like there's just so many efficient early plays. It's nice to be able to have answers to them. And then we get into our level 3 lineup, which is a lot more defensive than normal Vivid Strike, because we're playing 4 early play healers. I mean, that's kind of a staple, right? And then it's also an 11k if it's behind back row. Or it's 11k if you have 2 back row, because it gets 1,000 for every other. And then if you put it behind the level 6, 12.5, backup, 14.5, 15k. And I like it over just like early playing this with just the Fuka, but just like early playing 2 of this, because heals are good. They like help you live longer. They help you have a more stable game plan. They're all around just like a more consistent game plan than like relying on this level 3 that needs to sit on board for 3 turns. When there's so much removal that people play now. This, when you use an act, it gets 500 for every other character, so it's an 11k, kind of like this, about the same power. And then Climax combo, it gains 1500 power cross turn, and when it gets front attack, burn 1. That's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. So when it and it heals on play, of course, which is just, it's all about like the set's old. You don't have exactly like while Fuka used to be like one of the best finishers of her time. It's just like you can't get those markers anymore, and it's just like a less stable game plan. I think it's just better to sit on the 8 healers, try to play a super consistent deck. I mean, because you're not going to bring this to a regional, right? This is like a locals deck anyway. Yeah, the wall's really nice, and then you have the counter, so that sometimes if they front one of these, they can take 2 damage. I know some lists play more of the burn 1 counter. I just think it's hard to have the stock commitment for it. Of course, you're playing the gate with her. That's another good thing about this, is like a gold bar as a trigger is like fine, I guess, but I would much rather have a gate. So it's just like the consistency overall is a lot nicer, right? Because you have the gate that gets you the cards you need. It helps you maintain hand, even if you're gold bar does too. And I know you have the Brainstorm, but just more selective. And then I play one of this. I think you should play two. I honestly believe you should play two of this. It's come and play top check 3, and then it's got ditch 2, clock hit, cross turn. It gets 500 for every other. It's the only way you have to get this. There's no other way to get this other than sandbagging it and like clock drawing into it. So I think you should play two of this. Couple things, and I know that like most Vivid Strike lists play. I've already explained why I don't play Fuka, right? But why am I not playing something like Scuderia, right? I don't think the Renes that you have on your board you want to be sacking, right? That's the biggest thing, because this list doesn't play a whole lot of Renes. I mean, you can field the counter, I guess. I mean, I guess you have the clean cut, and you have these. So the other list have played the 1065 just because it was like a Scuderia target. Which, I mean, like, the extra heal is nice and all, but I would rather be putting in slots towards other things that are more consistent than having to max out. Because that's the thing, is like, you can't just play, like, 2 Scuderias, right? You have to play, like, 4. And I don't think there's room in this list to put 4 Scuderias in there just for just so you can heal, like, 2 extra times in a game. I mean, I know the card's fantastic. But, like, also, it's like your targets, right? Like, you're not going to be fielding this. And chances are you would rather use a backup to save this. Because, like, at the very least, like, this card can wall stuff out if they don't have answers to it. And if this thing's walling things out, you just want to let it do its thing, right? You don't want to be sacking it for no reason. I mean, sure, you can dodge some on reverse stuff, but it's like kind of whatever. And then you have these 3, and chances are these 3 are going to be crashed, right? Like these, like, biggest one's 2/5. These cards will crash themselves. Doesn't matter. You can't even sack them. This card will probably be winning its lane. Like I said, it gets like 15k after a counter. Thing's huge. But yeah, that's Vivid Strike. I think the set's old. I don't think you should be bringing this to a big tournament. But I think that the 8 heal list is just way more consistent than the Fuka. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys have any Vivid Strike lists that you guys play that are, different. That's just not 8 bars. And if you do, send them to me, and I'll take a look at them. But until next time, this is Sarah Tennant signing out.